you so much for joining me today. I have a wonderful topic that I am going to be discussing with you today, and is on needling, skin needling, and why your skin needs it. But before I get to all of that, as mentioned, my name is Candace Noonan. I'm the Director of Education. My little disclosure is that I am the Director of Education for Derma Concepts. We are the exclusive distributor of Environ Skincare. But I am going to keep this brand neutral, and so I'm going to be talking specifically to the science behind skin needling. Now, skin needling, umbrella topic, an umbrella term, and as an industry, I think we've muddied the water a little bit as to what the different types of skin needling is. I went for a treatment personally the other day, and she did needling on me. And although I knew what I was getting because of the way she explained it, she certainly had a very different understanding of what she thought she was doing. And so I think it's important for us as an industry to really identify the different types of needlings that we can offer, because there are two distinct categories underneath this umbrella term of skin needling. And the first is cosmetic needling. So let's talk about cosmetic needling. Why is cosmetic needling an important contribution and addition to your existing regimen? Well, it's really as simple as helping your products perform better. That's really what it comes down to. If you have the right product that is supplying the right ingredient to your skin, the skin gets healthier and healthier, which is what it's meant to do. It's meant to be this healthy, functioning barrier against the environment. It's supposed to regulate heat and absorption and secretion. But over the years of exposure to the sun or a poor diet or intrinsic or extrinsic factors, it may lose its ability to function correctly. So then it loses its ability to be sealed, so you get a lot of dryness and transepidermal water loss, or you might get pigmentation issues. There's a lot that can manifest because of exposure to detrimental environmental factors. So we need to make the skin healthy, and we need to make it the barrier that it's meant to be. But the irony is that the better we do that, the better we make it this barrier, the harder it is to get these ingredients to get into the skin again. So we sort of reach plateaus, and your skin maintains at a certain level because now it's become so much of a barrier, which is a good thing. We can't make any further changes to it because the topical ingredients are sitting on top of the skin. So that's the conundrum, making the skin healthier and yet helping it to get these ingredients to where it needs it the most. And that's where cosmetic needling comes in. Again, remember, I'm using the word cosmetic needling. So cosmetic needling is the use of very fine needles, 0.1 millimeter or a 0.2 millimeter. According to the FDA, anything up to 0.5 millimeter is considered cosmetic. The reason it's considered cosmetic is because it's technically not changing the function of the skin. So anything that's under 0.5 millimeters does not need to be approved for sale in the US. It doesn't need to be FDA approved. By being under 0.5 millimeters, it's approved for sale in the US. It can be sold without any approval, because it's not technically changing the function of the skin. So it's not a medical classed product. So at 0.1 or 0.2, which is really all you need to be effective for cosmetic needling, scientific studies have shown that you simply making microchannels through the stratum corneum, which is the primary barrier to products getting into the skin, to ingredients or even whatever, like topical stuff getting into the skin, it's purely through that barrier function of the stratum corneum. So theoretically and scientifically, if you make micro punctures through that stratum corneum, you can increase the effectiveness of topically applied products. A scientific study has shown that you increase the absorption of ingredients up to 80%. So with this increase of topically applied products, you take your skincare regimen to the next level. You really improve how well these ingredients then can help the skin function better. So your device may look very simple. There's multiple devices on the market. You simply do a simple Google search or a simple search in the search bar on Amazon, and you'll get a lot of different devices coming up. What's important is manufacturing, because not all devices are created equal. So your little device, when you first get it, you may think, oh my goodness, this is just a clean cylinder head, there's nothing on it. But that's the perfect device, because those micro channels don't need to be painful, they shouldn't draw blood, and you should be able to do this for an extended period of time without any discomfort, because it's purely helping those ingredients through the stratum corneum. Now again, you may think that you can just order any old device on the market. But again, going back to manufacturing standards, that's very, very important, because you may look at a device and go, oh gosh, it says it has 560 needles. But the problem with 560 needles is that they're so closely put together that the pure tensile strength of the skin won't allow the needles to make those microchannels. Think about somebody who is lying on that bed of nails. Why aren't those nails penetrating? Because they're close together and the skin has the strength to resist the needles puncturing. So having many, many needles on a very small roller head doesn't necessarily make it a better device. Having perfectly spaced needles on a decent size head will ensure good functionality of a rolling device. This is something that the clients can do at home. As estheticians, we also have access to devices, pen devices in particular, that we use in treatments. Asterisks here, always check with your local state board as to whether or not it's within your scope of practice to be performing these treatments. Always check with your local state board to see if you can perform these treatments. So there's also access to pen devices, nano pens, where they vibrate with the needles very, very quickly, and it's very, very shallow. And this is also termed needling, but if you look at the nuts and bolts of it, it's still cosmetic because it is superficial and it's just enhancing your topically applied products. For your home device, these are wonderful to use at home. You'll introduce it slowly, once or twice a week for a couple weeks, then 2 or 3 times a week for a couple more weeks, until eventually, if you can fit it into your regimen, you're using it up to 7 nights a week. And you're really your only restriction is your skin sensitivity. Because of the increase of effectiveness of your topically applied products, your skin might get a little red and a little sensitive. Maybe it might flake if you've put on too much vitamin A, as an example. And so you'll just stop doing your cosmetic needling for the couple days that your skin takes to recover. And then you continue by adding it. You'll add it as part of your nighttime regimen because there's no need to enhance the application of sunscreen or makeup. If you are in a situation that day you know you're going to be at home, you're not going to be exposed to a lot of light, perhaps under certain circumstances you can use it as well. But mainly to your clients, we'll introduce it at night. The actual application of a roller is very easy. You'll cleanse and tone your skin according to your professional recommendation. A roller with mild but firm pressure and roll it obliquely, horizontally, vertically. Horizontally, vertically, yes, I was right. I was thinking maybe I got the I got the angles wrong, but you'll roll it in different directions all over the face. You can pull the skin taut, get underneath the eye, making sure that the bone is supporting the skin, doing the forehead, doing the neck as well. Some manufacturers even have a double head for use on the body, and it's slightly curved so that it can really curve around the arms or the abdomen or the leg. And then you'll apply your professionally recommended product for your skin concern and for your skin type. So specific, if you have pigmentation, you'll roll specifically on the pigmentation, apply your pigmentation products, and then apply the rest of your facial products all over. This is a great way to treat perhaps upper lip lines, or like I said, pigmentation issues, or if you have a product that can treat frown lines or crow's feet, that's where you'll focus your cosmetic roller at home. Again, doing it at night after you've cleansed and toned and before you apply your professionally recommended products. So that's cosmetic needling. It's not painful, doesn't draw blood, take you 3 to 5 minutes to do your face and neck. You're doing it at night, and it's enhancing your topically applied product. Then the second aspect, anything over 0.5 millimeters in length is considered medical needling. Medical needling is very different in its action. Medical needling is intended to be done by a medical professional in a medical setting, and it's intended to create micro wounds. And what it does is create the opportunity for your skin to go through a wound healing cascade. At its essence and scientifically, what it does is these micro wounds release blood. The blood release platelets, platelets release growth factors, and growth factors stimulate the skin to create collagen, namely growth factor called TGF beta 3, transforming growth factor beta 3. This specifically tells the fibroblast to make more collagen. There are a lot of other growth factors that are released. There's a great growth factor that's released, EGF. Let me just check it out, which one it is. There's a great book on this called Why Your Skin Needs Needling. And it releases, here it talks about interleukin 10. So one of the transforming growth factors, beta 3, produces collagen, but transforming growth, interleukin 10 is responsible for inhibiting the formation of pigmentation. That's why medical needling is such a great treatment for not only all Fitzpatrick types, but specifically for pigmented skins. I personally have had great experience and outcomes with my own melasma. And if you haven't yet, follow me personally on Instagram or on Facebook, and you'll see my own personal pictures of melasma. I've had huge improvements in my melasma just simply from doing medical needling. In addition to my home care, of course, because home care is such an important part of medical needling. Just the same as you have to have the right product when you're using your cosmetic needling, you need to make sure that you're prepping the skin and treating it post with the correct product to ensure the best outcome. We know that. You need good products to ensure the best outcome. But back to those growth factors that are released, the interleukin 10 is why it's so safe for all Fitzpatrick types and why it is so good for pigmentation, because it down-regulates pigmentation. So the other growth factors that it releases, transforming growth factor beta 1 and 2, responsible for the healing of scars. Transforming growth factor alpha makes a thicker epidermis. PDGF activates the fibroblast. CTAP3 for collagen and elastin. So medical needling is definitely one of those great ways to stimulate the skin's own natural responses to growth and healing. And it makes the skin so healthy. When you look at some of the before and afters, it's not only a phenomenal way to treat fine lines and wrinkles, stretch marks, helping to lift the eyes, upper lip lines, but it truly is phenomenal. Oh, and don't forget about the body. It's not just about the face. Scarring. This is a great way to break down that scar tissue that's formed so that healthy new scar tissue can be laid down. Healthy new scar tissue. Healthy new collagen can be laid down so that it's more subtle and supple and flexible and really helps to refine and smooth out that scar tissue. Bone scars really respond well. And this was after a bad car accident. This little girl could only open her mouth this much, and 2 treatments of surgical needling. So now there is one more layer to this whole needling concept, and that's surgical needling. Surgical needling is where you actually have to be in an operating room. There is a very famous doctor, Dr. Aust. He is, and Dr. Matthias Aust, he's actually one of the authors of this book, and he's out of Germany, and he's been doing some great work with medical needling. And so you'll have to be in a surgical facility. The client is actually completely put under twilight sedation, and it's a very intensive treatment, but you can see how well that scar tissue is refined. And this is 13 months after the final treatment. So this was 2 treatments of surgical needling a week apart, and another one a year later. So it's 3 treatments, and this is 13 months after the final treatment. Now she can smile again, sweetheart. And you can look at, there's so many examples in this great book with regards to medical and surgical needling. And of course, what you use afterwards really has to complement the process of growth factor release. So your topical nutrition for the skin is important to use post as well. So when you talk about how many times you can do these treatments, cosmetic needling, you want to be doing as much as possible at night. So up to 7 nights a week, as much as your skin can tolerate. The gold standard for collagen induction therapy, your medical needling, is once a week for 6 treatments. You can complement it by using other modalities, such as doing LED light, 633 nanometers, 830 nanometers have been shown to really complement medical needling. And this is really what we can expect as an outcome from our medical and surgical needling treatments. Medical needling at 1 millimeter is really your anti-aging gold standard. 3 millimeters is for more scar revision and scar tissue. And like Dr. Des says, just as a lizard grows a new tail, you can grow new skin using collagen induction therapy and medical needling. So there is a lot of debates as to how often one should have medical needling. Some people say once a month, some people say once a week. I can tell you from personal experience that I went for medical needling with Dr. Des, and I went in on a Monday, and he wanted me to come back on the Thursday. And that's because what he's doing by that, with that frequency, is really upregulating the production of transforming growth factor beta 3. And so you can imagine this graph of transforming growth factor beta 3 being released. Immediately after the medical needling, it spikes. And then after a few days to a week or 2, it starts to decline. And that's sort of the level of TG beta 3 that's been produced. But at 3 or 4 days, if you do another medical needling at that spike and at that height of transforming growth factor beta 3 being produced, you then get another increase in production of that TGBF beta 3. And so you sort of piggybacking off the success of the previous treatment, so you're consistently getting more and more transforming growth factor beta 3 being produced, so you're getting a better and better result. So you may have heard a lot of different schools of thought with regards to this, but with regards to the scientific studies that somebody like Dr. Des Fernandez has done, who's the pioneer of modern medical needling, he has found scientifically he gets better results out of more frequent needling. The pen versus the roller. There was a study released that showed that over 1 millimeter, the needling device does not retract those needles sufficiently enough before you move the roller around the face. It can cause a lot of surface inflammation. And so for this reason, the pens are being shown to cause a lot more downtime versus the rollers. Now, you may have heard that the rollers tear the skin. This would only be true if you used a roller length of over 5 millimeters. But at the shorter lengths of 1 millimeter or 1.5 millimeter, they are not causing damage at the surface of the skin. And in fact, they're only penetrating and causing that wound response at the depth of the needle. So the rollers are great to use for full face. The pens at shorter depths are nice to use in more targeted specific areas, so perhaps around the eyes, around the upper lip lines as well. So I hope that you have enjoyed this short little presentation on medical needling, cosmetic needling, the difference between the two, and how as an industry we really need to make sure we are using the correct verbiage for each treatment that we are either suggesting or performing, so that we ourselves and our consumers are not confused. Because that is another thing, when we just talk about needling, the consumer thinks, oh, I can go and buy needles on Amazon, and they come home with a roller with a 1 millimeter needle versus a 0.1 millimeter needle, and then we know that they're causing more damage than good at home. If it's painful and you need to be topically anesthetized as you would be for a 1 millimeter rolling, you shouldn't be using that device at home. My name is Candace Noonan. I hope you enjoyed today's presentation, and I look forward to seeing you on future presentations by NASNPRO. And thank you, NASNPRO, for having me. It's much appreciated.